welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Rangers win again. This time beating the Philadelphia Flyers 6-1 at Madison Square Garden, extending their point streak to 10 games. So they are 7-0-3 in their last 10 games and find themselves essentially right there for a playoff spot. Technically, they have less points than the final wildcard spots, but based on points percentage, because the Rangers have played a game or so less than their teams, they thought, if that were the cut line, they would be in. And it's very close between them and, four or so other teams. But they're just playing a lot better hockey. And look, this game wasn't nearly as good as the Ottawa game, and that was going to be, nearly impossible to match. That was, just as good as a 60-minute effort as you'll find. This one, Igor Shesterkin was, again, just brilliant, and he gives up an early goal. It wasn't his fault, but that ended what was a very lengthy shutout streak. He hadn't given up a goal since, I believe, this early second period against Utah. And then he had two straight shutouts. This one, he allows one goal a minute and 25 seconds in, and he made 33 saves. Now, the shot count changes a bit. So originally, I'm seeing that it says Shesterkin with 35 saves, but now I'm looking at Flyers shots on goal and it's saying 34. Either way, a really, really nice outing. We'll say 33 saves. And Igor in the second period was excellent. And at that point, the Rangers were up only 2-1. They did make it 3-1 somewhat early in the second. About 5 minutes in, but still, this game could have turned, and Igor was just right dialed in, and that's what he's been lately. And he is going to get the lion's share of starts. I mean, yes, Jonathan Quick in back-to-back situations. He will, of course, get his chances, but they're going to be riding Igor as they should be. And, Rangers now have about 7 games left before the Four Nations break, in which the Rangers won't play for 2 weeks. So I think it's kind of pedal to the metal right now. And the fact that the Rangers in these 4 games, here's the thing: Columbus, Montreal, Ottawa, and Philadelphia, 4 teams that are really big-time competition with the Rangers, and 4 teams that coming into those games, extremely hot. In the case of the Rangers' wins against Columbus, Ottawa, and the Flyers, Columbus was coming in on a 6-game winning streak, and Ottawa and Philly were both 5-0-1 going into their games. So it's not like you're dealing with teams that are kind of, struggling. Quite the opposite. And the Rangers are now, far and away the, hottest team, certainly in the confines of the Eastern Conference at least, not paying attention as much to, what's going on out west. But look, 7-0-3 is not too shabby either way. And, hoping that they can keep it going. Competition gets a little bit tougher these next couple of games. But I think that with the way the Rangers are playing, they're more than capable of just collecting points. And what's great, too, in this win, is beyond Shesterkin, the Rangers are getting really, really good contributions up and down the lineup. All 6 Rangers defensemen got at least a point in this game. And that's the first time that has happened since 2019 against Vegas. So little over 5 years since then. It's not easy to do. And, you had goals by Braden Schneider, Keandre Miller, an empty net goal by Adam Fox. And, you had assists by the other guys, Lindgren, Vakanainen, and Borgen. So, fourth line gets another goal. Adam Edstrom, who has really kind of been flying under the radar as, someone that's really, really gotten he's played every single game this season. He has played all 48 games for the Rangers. And, there's no reason to even consider taking him out of the lineup. It's impressive what he's done. Really is. So I thought the fourth line was good again. Philip Hedl, who I thought actually had some early struggles in this game in terms of more things pertaining to defense. He, again, was like one of the more noticeable players on the Rangers. Thought he had a good game. It's funny, like the Rangers aren't getting all that much from their top six, it kind of comes in waves. And look, there were some shifts that come to mind that were good by like the Panarin line, but it's not as if they've had their games where they've kind of um, done some big things on the stat sheet, but they haven't done a crazy amount. And we know, again with Sabanajad, the point is that like I just think it's a collective effort, and whether that be some of the guys on the blue line, and ones that you wouldn't necessarily expect that are contributing, and as well, like I said, the fourth line and Arthur Kaliev, he gets an assist, and I think that's been a very good waiver claim to this point. So a lot to be looking forward to, and still a lot of work to be done. But it's crazy the turnaround. I mean, this team, and in some ways, the Rangers have kind of been this way. They are definitely a streaky team, typically a streaky team in a good way, where when they are on their game, and look, last year they won the President's Trophy, and I think back to even in the Gerard Gallant years, um, they would go on really really good streaks, and when they were bad, right? I mean, Gallant's second year, they had a really bad stretch there, and this year even worse in mid-November through the end of December, like horrible, enough to the point that I thought that was going to take them out of the playoff mix, and it still might. Like, if they don't make it, you're going to look back at that time where they just could not get anything done. But the fact that they've just gotten out of it so quickly, um, I never really would have expected. And really, it's hard not to be optimistic. When you look at how they're playing, when you look at the other teams that they're competing against and their lack of um, experience, I guess, in a lot of cases, as far as being in the playoff hunt. I mean, we're talking about teams that not only really haven't made it, but have really been more towards the bottom of the standings. And the Rangers, on paper, are better than a lot of those teams, but they can't get ahead of themselves because, in some ways, maybe a little bit of that happened when they went 12-4-1. Now, I think so much good has happened since then. The fact that, I mean, the Jacob Trouba trade is just unequivocally a great one, and Vakanainen, like what I wasn't sure of as a part of that trade, it was addition by subtraction getting rid of Trouba, but the fact that Vakanainen has stepped in and he has been in every game, third pair defenseman that really has done a nice job. Um, he's not going to stand out necessarily, but he's not really making many mistakes. That's all you can ask for. So the fact that they got like a legitimate NHL player in that deal is great. And then as far as the Kako trade goes, that one obviously is a little bit more with mixed feelings because of the fact that Kako has been really good with the Seattle Kraken. And like, he was a homegrown Ranger, one that I think, was mishandled a little bit. Blame goes around on, multiple specters. But I think that Kako, there was a world where things could have worked out here, but it was kind of at the end of the line. But the positive is Will Borgen has played such a huge role. I mean, that unit with him and Keandre Miller has been really, really excellent. And Miller lately is looking a lot better after he had struggles. I mean, before Borgen got here and even in the beginning with Will Borgen, but now they've both settled in and it's been really good. So looking at the defense, I think the one hole still remains is you wish that you could have someone better than Linger with Fox, right? Like, let's just say it was Miller with Borgen, Vakanainen with Schneider, and just a more high quality player with Adam Fox. Then I think you're talking about something. Like if Ryan Lindgren, if it was a world where he could be more of a third pair style defenseman, you could live with that. As long as he's on the Rangers, it's kind of like a Trouba thing. Like as long as Lindgren's on the Rangers, they're always going to, look at him with high regard, and he's going to eat a lot of minutes. It's just the way it's going to be. And, but it's improvements. And we don't really know what the defense is going to look like even next year. Like Borgen's an unrestricted free agent. Obviously, Ryan Lindgren's an unrestricted free agent. Vakanainen, I think, is technically a restricted free agent, but there's still question marks there. Like, who knows? Keandre Miller has been, a major talk of trade conversation. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. But definitely encouraging signs. And yeah, let's jump into this game. So Samuel Urson was in goal for the Flyers. Got off to a bad start this year, but lately has been really good. And of course, Igor Shesterkin has been just red hot ever since he got back from injury. I think he's 6-0-1 in his last 7 outings. Just really, really good stuff from him. But like I said, bad mistake by the Rangers to start out. And the Rangers, I believe, lead the league in goals allowed within the first 2 minutes of a game. It's now 8. That's a good amount. You should not be allowing, in 48 games, 2 minutes in, 8 goals. That is kind of crazy. Keeping in mind, just as a side note, that the Rangers lost to the Flyers in Philly back on November 29th. A game which Rangers did not play well here. Looked like Philly was off to a good start again, and they were. As at 125, Owen Tippett scores his 14th goal of the season, assisted by Konechny and Frost. So what happens here is Rangers have a little bit of an odd man rush on their end. Will Cooley makes a pass cross ice to K'Andre Miller. Miller takes the shot. It's stopped. And it puts them in a tough spot where I guess blame for me probably goes mostly, I guess, to Miller and Hedl. Philip Hedl is kind of caught in no man's land, and either he would have been able to make a nice stop that would have then kind of led the Rangers to having a chance, but it goes by him. And because it went by Hedl, now it becomes a 3-on-1 situation. They needed to have a forward back. Presumably him would be my guess. Miller was very late to get back. He was the last one, in fact. So Vakanainen, I believe it was actually Vakanainen. It must have been the middle of a line change because I believe it was Vakanainen. Yeah, I think it was. There was a change. Vakanainen was the only one back. And it ends up being a 3-on-1, and it was a pass from Konechny in the direction of Owen Tippett, and it goes off of Tippett's skate legally and in past Shesterkin. So again, that ends the shutout streak for him, and the Flyers take a 1-0 lead. Not a good goal to give up that early in the game, and I thought Philly after that as well. First 5-6 minutes of the game, Flyers were looking good, but then soon thereafter, the Rangers turned the tide. And they would tie it up at the 9-minute mark in the first period. Well, actually, I'm skipping a couple of penalties. Let's hold off on the Ranger goal. Ryan Lindgren, as part of this Philly pressure, Lindgren is forced to cross-check Noah Cates at 4:47. And I guess really where it turns is here. 30 seconds left on the Flyer power play. Bobby Brink interferes with Chris Kreider. And from there, the Rangers took over. So Rangers PK does a good job because Flyers score, they make it 2-0. This whole field is different. So those penalties end, and like I said, at 9 minutes, Braden Schneider scores his 3rd goal of the season, assisted by Kaliev and Smith. So it's Arthur Kaliev's first assist as a Ranger. And a nice play where Braden Schneider makes a nice move to get himself into some space, goes towards the net. I guess it was a shot, but it was kind of, a puck in the direction of Riley Smith. But it actually goes off of the stick of the Flyers defenseman Igor Zamula. And so, there were a couple of shot options there in front with Smith and with Hedl. So the Rangers had a good situation there, smart move, and really nice play by Braden Schneider. Schneider every now and then shows off some offensive ability. And there he gets rewarded for it by tying the game up at 1. And then 1 minute and 24 seconds after, Rangers score again, and it's the 4th line that gets it. Adam Edstrom, his 5th goal of the season from Lindgren and Fox. So a passing play up top, Fox to Lindgren, and Lindgren just is able to get the shot. Give him credit because he had a Flyer guy on him. He's able to take the shot, and Edstrom really has very good hand-eye coordination. I've noticed that with him lately, and he's able to get a stick on it, deflects it, and it goes in. Nothing that Urson could do on that one. And really just in general, I thought that actually he wasn't really necessary. By the end, I guess, maybe the last goal he could have stopped, but game was totally over at that point. But Rempe was causing some disruptions. And again, it was that 4th line with Edstrom, Carrick, and Rempe continues to play really, really well, which is great. And it makes it 2-1 right there. And, I thought the Rangers' first period was good. Arguably their best period after, again, a bad 5 to 6 minutes there. After that, they really got going. Second period, a little bit different story. The Flyers had a lot of chances, and Shesterkin, that was his best period by far. He faced 17 shots in the second period and stopped them all. And they had a chance to tie it up, or they had a chance after the Rangers made it 3-1 to just cut that lead back down to 1, and just were unable to do so. So total credit to Shesterkin. Um, but the Rangers do score. At 4:44, they make it 3-1. Keandre Miller scores his third goal of the season from Borgen and Panarin. So nice job by Panarin, moving around, going behind the net, going towards the point, and he finds Will Borgen, and Borgen makes a nice play as he quickly passes it to Miller, and Miller is just kind of home free and rips a shot and scores. So another, again, like the defense getting involved, and not by accident, like really the driving force in a lot of these goals. So Miller just fires away and scores, and give Vincent Trocheck credit because he was causing a bit of a screen in front as well. So the Ranger goals, a lot of them were very similar and pretty much of hardworking variety. Makes it 3-1 Rangers, and they would lead by that score going into the third. We go to the third period. There was a penalty on Artemi Panarin at 12:35 of the second. He hooked Nick Seeler. So actually, one of two penalties. Panarin takes a penalty later on in the third as well. But the Rangers kill that off. In the third, at 5:15, it would be Philip Hedl scoring his 11th goal of the season from Vakanainen and Miller. So it's a shot from Vakanainen at the point. That is, again, very similar. Hedl gets a stick on it, and he was battling against a Flyer defender. So that one was kind of similar to the Edstrom goal. And Philip Hedl's really been playing well lately. There was a scary moment. He got into a collision with Braden Schneider. Whenever that happens with Hedl, you get worried. But he got right back up, and he looked good. Like, he didn't seem affected. And so that made it 4-1 right there. And, him being healthy is very important. To have that center depth, which they have right now, really for all four lines. I mean, let's include Sam Carrick in this as well. So that makes it 4-1. And I thought the Rangers really, after a poor second period, were really, really steady and solid in the third. Rangers, I never really was all that concerned, especially once Hedl scored, obviously. I never was really concerned the Flyers were going to, get back into this. And eventually, after actually a really good shift by the Rangers, Panarin interferes with Garnet Hathaway at 15:27. Give Hathaway credit, actually, for, because he was on for a while. And if Panarin doesn't interfere with him, Hathaway is probably in all alone. Rangers kill that off. And then at 18:04, Noah Cates slashes Vincent Trocheck, who had an opportunity to score there. And so the Rangers' second power play unit gets a chance. Although I skipped over the fact that during the Panarin penalty, it's a shorthanded empty net goal for Adam Fox, his third goal of the season. It's unassisted. And the funny thing with Fox is 2 of his 3 goals this year, empty net goals. So go figure. But that makes it 5-1. And then the Rangers draw a power play, and the second unit gets a chance, similar to last game. And they score, actually. And it's Riley Smith with that power play goal, his 10th goal of the season from Lafreniere and Hedl at 18:15. And it's a play where Lafreniere takes a shot from the left point. It seemed like Ersson had it, but not well enough as Riley Smith's kind of able to dig it out of his pads and just kind of softly backhand it in. So a nice goal there. Makes it 6-1 Rangers, and that's the score that they win by. So a really good night on the scoreboard for the Rangers as well, as Ottawa-Boston does not go to overtime. The Bruins beat the Senators. The Blue Jackets lose to Carolina, and Montreal loses to Detroit. So really a close to perfect night for the Rangers, and mainly their win in regulation against the Philadelphia Flyers. So now they'll have a couple of days off, a Sunday matinee game against the Colorado Avalanche. In Colorado, they will be coming off of a matinee game as well the day before in Boston. So ideally, Colorado beats Boston on Saturday, only for the Rangers to beat them on Sunday. And the Rangers played Colorado, just a couple of, less than that. I mean, losing track of time here. It will have been, I guess, probably about a week and a half or so since their last meeting with the Avalanche, which was a game the Rangers should have won and kind of fell apart at the very end, and only got 1 point out of it. So that will be an interesting matchup. And then they play Carolina after that at MSG. And, that one will be, a really good one. The Rangers-Hurricane games always are, but Rangers-Colorado, as I said in the Colorado recap in the last game, those games are always close, especially the ones in Colorado, but the ones in MSG too. I believe at least the last 2 games in Madison Square Garden ended up going beyond regulation. And so expect more of the same in that game. 24-20-4. It's getting better and better. They're going to hope to finish off January strong, but another good effort. Rangers are red hot right now. Igor Shesterkin has been unbelievable. And the Rangers win again. They beat the Philadelphia Flyers at Madison Square Garden by a score of 6-1.